Hi, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. I also have Olivia Grisham on the line and Tammy Stone, and we've got a not major agenda today, but we do have a lot of stuff to listen to and talk about. So if you have not already checked in, please check in by organization in the middle column there. And just to let you know, we will be sending out some new links to new directions. Olivia and I just didn't have time to get them updated today, but we are going to update them based on our conversations today. So we will be going through that. Let's get started. I'm going to pull up a screen here about dashboard items. And just to let you know, we're in decent shape, but we could be in better shape with some of these things. So let me minimize this just a little bit. We've got 2151 past due. Not too bad. We've got 3 from Albany Park, and I don't think I see anybody from Albany Park on the call right now. 3 from Central State SEER. We need to get you guys up to speed there. Homework Hangout, you're missing 3. And North Lawndale, you're missing 1. So we need to get those updated. When we talk about these in the webinar, we'd like to have them cleaned up by the end of the week that we talk about them. So if there's something going on, something special, at least put a case note in about these items. Enrollment required, we've got 1 from Asian Human Services, 2 from Leslie Bates, 1 from National Able, 1 from Phalanx, 1 from Rock River, and 1 from Springfield Urban League. 2151A past due. I got to say, for the first time in a long time, Tri-County Urban League is not the one with the most 2151As past due. It's CAPS Roseland, which really surprises me. So all y'all from CAPS Roseland, we need to get you on the stick on this. Cottage Grove, you've got 13 past due. Inspiration, you've got 4 past due. So D'Amico, if you can get on those, that would be wonderful. And then LaTanya from Roseland and Renata from Cottage Grove. Let's get your team together and get those knocked out. And then Tri-County Urban League, we got to get you on the stick with that. Now, we've got a few things here for minimal progress, situation worse, and no progress. What we need to do with all of these people that are in these 2 columns right here is we need to get them scheduled for conciliations. So if you have people in one of those 3 yellow lines that says from your status updates, for the monthly status update, situation worse, no progress, or minimal progress, and they are an enrolled customer, you need to get them scheduled for a conciliation appointment and then move them into conciliation. And Kelsey's saying that doesn't really make sense, but if they're not cooperating with your appointments and all of those kind of things, you need to get them in for a conciliation appointment. If they're not, let's see here. Kelsey said some people are participating and not in need of conciliation but are progressing slowly. Then why are they marked as minimal progress? If they're doing the best that they can under their own personal circumstances, then that would be acceptable progress. So, you know, why are you marking them as minimal progress? We need a case note that says why. Autumn says, what if they are in school and doing minimal progress? Are they not passing? Do we need to help them with some additional services? Kelsey says, customers can definitely be cooperating but not doing well. So in one definition of the minimal progress or no progress, it's whether or not they're meeting their mandatory required hours. So if they are doing their 80 hours a month, then they would technically be acceptable progress. Okay. All right, so then Autumn's saying they could do better, they're lazy. Enrolled requirement is not due until 9/14/17. For the person that's not been enrolled, did you just do their intake yesterday? It's within 5 days, Pam. Low grades, bad communication, not turning in the mileage sheets. Okay, well, that's not acceptable then. So, then and again, you would still need to do a conciliation with them, because if they're not cooperating with the program the way that they're supposed to be cooperating, they need a conciliation to get them figured out. Eric's saying, hey, Dee, I actually had only 2 2151 past due. They are uploaded now as no contact. Okay, good. D'Amico, what if someone came to orientation and found that they would not be able to do the program because of their personal schedule? Oh my God, that's a bad DHS referral then. I would reject the referral. Eric, I have one other appointment that was scheduled by DHS on 9/18/2017. All right, then that wouldn't show up in any of these numbers unless they were rescheduled. In some cases, Kelsey, yes, it is personal judgment. You have to take into account whether or not they're cooperating with their hours, whether they're doing what you're asking them to do, and making sure that this program is going to be successful. And if you're just going by the hours, then it's acceptable progress if they're 80 hours a month. If they're not doing what you're asking them to do, why? Why aren't they doing it? Do the conciliation and find out the reason. I'm saying all cases. I don't quite get what you're saying, Kelsey, but we need to move on. So if you have more to say about this, maybe we need to have a conversation offline about this. Completion status, we've got 3 people that need to, we have 3 people that need to have their completion status updated. CAPS, Cottage Grove is one, Inspiration Corporation is another, Tri-County Urban League is another. And then SNAP ineligible, these are people that have been marked SNAP ineligible by DHS, and that is, sorry, I have to make this smaller so I can see who. Safe Haven, Albany Park, Catholic Charities, CAPS Cottage Grove has 7, CAPS Roseland has 2, Inspiration Corporation, you need to go in and mark these people as complete if they are SNAP ineligible and they are enrolled. Then Jane Addams has 1, National Able has 5, North Lawndale has 3, Rock River has 2, Springfield Urban League has 1. Target occupation is missing. This is a big bugaboo that Olivia and I are constantly tracking for your customers. If they do not have a target occupation marked, there's a good possibility that maybe you haven't done their Istep steps, and this is a requirement that we've been talking about for a long period of time. So if you have a number in there, and CAPS Roseland, you got 18 in there. North Lawndale, you have 32. Tri-County Urban League, you have 65. Two Rivers Regional, you've got 25. We need to get those target occupations handled in the Istep. If you don't know how to do that, please get in touch with Olivia or I, and we will show you. And then the last column there is staffing packets that are ready or /done. Now, we are working our very best to try to get DHS to cooperate by allowing us to do Staffing'S over the phone. We're really working really, really hard to get that to happen. It will not ever happen if you guys do not use the staffing packet tool. For example, Safe Haven has 59 that are ready for review. That's excellent. 0 have been uploaded as completed. Albany Park has none ready for review and none that have been uploaded as completed. you can see by these numbers that National Able, you did really good. You've got 54 ready for review, but you don't have any that are uploaded as with signatures. Failings, you've got 12 and 12, so that's pretty good. If you want to not have to go to the DHS offices, especially those of you in Region 1, you need to start using this tool. And after this call, I am going to do a demonstration with Region 5. So if you want to stay on once we're done, stay in the webinar, and you can stay. I will put the number up that we're going to be on, and you'll be able to ask questions. I'll show everybody that wants to how to use the staffing packet tool. So Jonathan is saying, so I am getting my staffing packets ready tomorrow because most of my staffing start next week. Is there a date each month where we should have the packets ready by? And we're going to talk a little bit about this right now, or in a couple of minutes on the agenda. But if you do your 2151As, you should at least have, if you're staffing, say, with Roseland, Edgewater. What the name is that office? Say you're staffing with Cottage Grove. Englewood, thank you, John. You're staffing with Englewood, and that's your first staffing. You should at least get those packets ready for review, and then work down the list by the day that your appointments are taking place. And I understand that you can't do them all at one time, especially if you're like Rock River and you've got 160 customers and it's all out of one office. It's going to take you time to get these done. But these ones that have zeros ready for review, those are the ones that really concern me. Those are the ones that we need to have you doing them, or else DHS is going to say, well, they're not using the tool. We're not going to work with it on it. So it's up to you guys. Okay, I'm moving off of the dashboard now.
Dee, this is Tammy. The staffing tool really shouldn't be an option. It is a requirement for Region 1. You guys really need to start using that because there's a lot of time and effort put into that. And once again, for us to be able to sell this to DHS, we need to have a good product. And if you guys aren't utilizing it, then we're not going to convince them that, they should be using it. And, the intent is to hopefully one day get to the point where at least if you have minimal numbers, you can do this staffing over the phone and not have to drive, once a month to all the different offices. So, I mean, we need you to do this. It's really not an option.
And D'Amico's asked, what if the DHS offices that you're working with have not stressed the need for the staffing packet? Then they're behind the 8 ball. If you're using the staffing packet tool, you have all of the papers in a packet in a PDF format that can be looked at. You can send them the link to that staffing tool report, and you can say, okay, here's all your packets. They're all ready for review. And then if we can get there, you don't have to print them all. So let them print them. So they're not DHS. We're not pushing DHS to use it yet because all y'all aren't using it yet yourselves. So it's a catch-22. It's a chicken or the egg. Who's going to move first? And it's got to be you guys. And I hate to sound like I'm scolding everybody, but these numbers don't lie. So.
And the packet was designed just to make this easier for you guys because those are DHS policies and requirements. So the 4333 you have to do. You have to do the 2151As and bring that. The case notes. You need to provide this information to them during the staffing. So the intent of this is that information is in the system, and why make you guys create these documents outside of that when we can create them within the system. So the intent is that long term this is going to be beneficial to you guys because it's going to reduce your effort.
All right. Okay, so can I get a raise of hands if you understand the importance of this staffing tool now? All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. And like I said, if you want to stay on the call afterward, I am going to be showing Autumn how to do the staffing packet tool, and you are all welcome to stay on there with us. Okay.
Eric, to answer your question, it is a Region 1 requirement right now. We are testing it in 2 other regions, in Region 2 and Region 5, to do it electronically so that way we have, and this is where we're training the DHS staff to be able to get to these tools electronically. And then if it's a clean process in those regions, then there's a possibility that they may want to, expand that to other areas. But Autumn and Pam are testing this for us in those 2 regions with the DHS staff this month.
And Fritzline asked, is the system supposed to remove those that are SNAP ineligible from the staffing packet? No, not right now, but that's one of my goals, is to have them somehow, based on certain parameters, we can say because of X, 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 Y, and Z, these people will not filter that says need a staffing packet. But you can always pull a report before you start, and it will tell you whether or not the customer is eligible or ineligible, and that way you can just look at that spreadsheet and determine who you still need to do packets for. And right now, unfortunately, that's the easiest way that I can tell you how to do it. And yes, you can use an electronic. You can use a digital signature for the 4334s, and I know that Nancy from Catholic Charities, is that her last name? Nancy Brown from Catholic Charities uses a digital signature all the time. All right, we need to move on. So, Olivia, do you have the how to handle issues with scheduling staffings, or was that me?
I can talk about that. I think that was left maybe on the agenda from last week or last webinar, because we talked about it then. But since staffings are getting ready to take off, it's great to kind of bring it back up. If you guys are having any issues staffing with any particular office, make sure that you CC Deidre Wesley in the email that you send to them. If you're following up like the second or third time, make sure you're including her in that email, and she will contact the office and make sure that you are getting scheduled with them and everything. And that is all I have on that.
Okay, so now we need to talk about adding credentials to the Istep. This is something that has just recently arisen, where we've got some inconsistency on how to pull credentials, and we need to create a report. And so what we've determined, and I know you guys hate it when we change things midstream, but this is a pilot project, so don't kill the messenger. All right, so what we need to do moving forward with a credential that someone earns, and let me pull my screen up here. Okay, can everybody see my screen? I will make it 150% if it isn't already. Okay, so if I go to my customer list and I look at somebody who has a plan and I want to add a credential to this customer, I would go to the academic and technical skills training, and I would go to their program that has the industry recognized certificate only, or one of the other 3 that we are recognizing for what am I trying to say, for benchmark report. So we go in and mark in that it was successfully completed and at least one credential has been earned for this I'm going to say that there is another credential that was earned. I'm just going to add this so that I can show you as a demonstration factor. And, excuse me, today is the 13th. We're going to do a copy of a credential, and this was an occupational skills certificate or credential. The date attained was today. The institution, I'm just going to say that this is a truck driving program. So I'm going to say it was A1 Truck Driving School. Now, in the description, this is what we want for consistency purposes. We want you to, in the description, write the credential, the stackable credential that the customer has earned based on your contract with Commerce. Now, Tammy, is there a particular section of that contract that they can refer to?
It's in your scope of work, and it identifies in that scope of work credentials earned based upon the training program. So it needs to be titled based upon what the industry recognized credential is when you're putting in the description.
So I just recently was talking to one of you guys, and it says there's two different types of CDLs. So if they earn one CDL or if they earn the other one, that's it. If they get a license for something and that's what the credential in your contract says that you will be providing, that's what goes in here. If they earned their GED, that's what goes in here. Whatever it is, according to what you've given that customer, then that's what goes in this description. In the notes, you can say the customer attended the 160-hour course and blah, 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 blah.
And keep in mind, these are industry-recognized credentials, academic credentials. This isn't certificates of completion. We have had some of you guys that have indicated that they got a certificate of completion for, completing the program. That is not what this is. This is actually credentials that are industry or academic credentials. Completions are identified really in the training component of it, where they complete the training. So that's where you identify that, they completed the training program, and after completing the training program, this is where you identify the credentials.
So we've reached out to, between Tammy and I, we've reached out to all of you that are on a particular list that we're trying to complete for DHS.
It's those that have people employed, and then we're identifying the credentials earned for those individuals employed. So we've got a hold of quite a few of you. There's some we're still needing to get information from, but that's what we're looking for right now.
And then Kelsey asked, does this have to match our grant exactly? And in your case, Kelsey, if somebody's earning a C++ certificate or whatever that particular training program is, that would be appropriate, because that's that stackable credential. If they're learning something specific to do with IT, put that in there. But many of these other programs are CNA or the CDL. So those are going to be the reason why we pulled that program in the first place. Okay, so then once you save this, then when we go to create the report, we can pull right from that description of that credential. Do we have any questions about this particular item? Now, I've had a discussion with some of you about this report that we're trying to do right now, but this is for moving forward so that everybody is on the same page, putting the same thing in the same place. And I am going to be updating these directions. Okay.
And we will be looking at what's in there currently because we do want to be consistent with our naming conventions. So we will be looking at, the information that you've got in right now to make sure there is consistency in our naming.
Industry recognized credentials to be determined. Yeah, that's going to be hard. You're going to have to come up with a name for the actual credentials. So if they're getting ServSafe, Illinois ServSafe, that would be one. What are some of the other ones that are the basic pieces?
Yeah, I think, Mary Beth, a lot of yours are what I've seen so far is oh shoot, and I can't think of it right now. I had it right in front of me. You had sorry, go ahead and and I'll figure out what they're using.
Retail.
Retail,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. So if you can get, maybe it's customer service. I don't know if that is a part of it, but if you can come up with, maybe you need to work with Tammy on a naming convention for that one, and then we'll share that out with the rest of the people if anybody else has a retail program. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is using work experience for customers. So,
do you want me to take that one?
You take that.
Yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Okay. Paid work experience is an exemption, and we've talked about this before. With this particular program being a pilot program, one of the huge benefits is paid work experience because it does not go against their budgeting of income, so they're not subject to losing SNAP benefits because of paid work experience. And this is something that, it's being completely underutilized in our program. We really want to see this, being utilized a heck of a lot more. And I'm not sure if 100% of you are using the payroll upload or not. I know we've got quite a few that are with the payroll upload in the WorkNet system. If you're not, please, reach out to us because we will, walk you through that again. We need the payroll upload in there, and we also need this information put in the GRS system. Now, I do know that because I have done some checking, and I know in one particular case we had a lot of payroll upload done for one agency, but nothing in our GRS reporting, accounting system for that line item, and it was because they actually had matching funds. They were using WIOA for paid work experience. So, that's a legitimate reason why they don't match. But it's imperative that you guys use this. This is very beneficial. And I know I was working with one agency that wasn't using it initially, as up front, and now they're using the paid work experience. And while we're putting together this report for DHS, something that I've identified in this is the people that have paid work experience also have credentials compared to the ones that are not doing paid work experience. So it's pretty obvious that if you can get them in paid work experience and get them some money in their pockets now and get them, even if it's, 10 or 15 hours a week in paid work experience, that there's a good opportunity that you may be able to keep them in a training program also. So please utilize that paid work experience. It's a huge benefit to our customers, and that's something that's really going to delineate this program, and helping the customers. So if you're not using it, please, you need to use that to the benefit of your customers.
And Kelsey asked a question about, do we need to upload pay stubs? And no, you just need to upload the time that they've done for the paid work experience into the payroll forms or into the payroll section. So let me pull my screen back up.
And this is a really easy process. It's just a spreadsheet, and it downloads the information of the customers, and you just need to put the number of hours worked and I believe the wage in it, and then upload it.
Wrong one.
And if you did anything with our youth summer youth program, this is the same design with that. It's a real efficient process in doing this.
So if you're providing paid work experience, which some of you call it something else. I know Rock River calls it something different. What do you guys call it when you are the employer of record? So your agency is the employer of record. So when you do the add the payroll, you put in what the payroll start period was. So it might be September 1 to September 8. And you download the payroll template, and it shows you an Excel spreadsheet, unsubsidized employment. Yes, that's it. Wait, unsubsidized employment is?
That should be permanent employment.
That's permanent employment.
Yeah.
WEX, the work experience, WEX, is what Rock River calls it. So I don't know what y'all are calling it, but it's where you are the employer of record. You put them in a work site. They work temporarily. That money does not count against their budgeted wages for DHS, and they get experience, subsidized employment. Thank you, subsidized employment. All right, so you download this template, you fill it out with how many hours the person worked, what the payroll was for it, then you upload the template and any other expenditures, and you submit that payroll. So if I'm going to look at this one here, it's got Deidre D. Test had $10 an hour at 10 hours, so she had 100 hours. So that's where you would put this payroll, Kelsey. You don't have to do their pay stubs for this one. Okay? All right. Next,
and just to define, just real quick, in EPICS, in our budget, we do paid work experience. Now, an OJT is actually a different type of, obviously, project, and that's usually where there's an employer match. You can do OJTs with the EPIC customers, but they would have to be co-enrolled, so like in a WIOA program. So if they're in a WIOA program, you may do an OJT with them in WIOA, and then pay for their training out of EPIC or something. But we're not doing OJTs in this. We're just doing paid work experience.
Okay. Olivia, do you want to go on with the non-enrolled customers?
Yes. So we are going to have an update coming out here probably within the next week or so that is going to prevent you guys from exiting unenrolled customers. We've been going round and round with this. We went in and cleaned up the customers a couple times, and then 2 weeks go by and all the customers seem to get put back into being exited, even though there's case notes saying not to exit these customers. So I went in the last couple days and have been going through all the customers that aren't showing correctly in the dashboard and trying to get them cleaned up. I've spoken to quite a few of you guys about some of these customers, but so for all of your customers who are no contacts, referral rejected, that are not enrolled, if they've never been enrolled with your organization, you guys cannot exit them from the program because you've never met with them. So they should not be exited. The dashboard is set up to move those customers out of the rows after they've been marked as no longer SNAP eligible to get them out of the way. But if they are still SNAP eligible and they're no contact, they need to stay in the row where DHS can easily find them and reach out to them to get them engaged. And if you guys are exiting them, you're throwing those numbers completely off. So please, please, please do not exit any customers that you have not enrolled. And I noticed a large part of these customers that have been exited had been marked as no longer SNAP eligible after they had missed the appointment with you guys. And we did, a while back, have you guys start exiting all of your enrolled customers who are marked as no longer SNAP eligible. And I think that there was maybe just a little confusion that you thought you were supposed to mark all customers who were marked as not SNAP eligible, but you're only exiting customers who are enrolled in your organization. So do you guys all understand what I'm saying clearly? Because this has been going round and round. There's even case notes, and the case notes are completely overlooked. So just make sure that you're reading those case notes and seeing what's going on. Awesome. I see some people saying yes, they do understand. So just be prepared for that update to come out. It shouldn't really affect you guys too much because it's going to prevent you from exiting unenrolled customers, and you all know now not to do that. So you might not even notice it's there, but it will be coming out. And that is all I have for that. I believe Dee is maybe showing something.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about having a customer who's gained permanent employment. We are going to be, I sent you to the benchmark report, but we are updating that. So what we need to have you do is basically make sure that the information in here is complete. They have to have been enrolled, and then under the completion information, they need to be marked as completed hired by an employer, either 30 hours or more or less than 30 hours a week. And we're getting definition from DHS about when the retention falls, and we will update you as soon as we have that information from them. Then you need to include the employer information, and you need to upload a 2151A that is marked as completed and completed. There are directions in the EPIC partner guide. So the first couple of months needs to have the item marked as job retention, the day they were hired, the number of days that they have been employed, that the first couple of ones are going to be acceptable progress and no change, and the employer information is going to be entered in here. On the last one, it would be, what's 3 months ago? 6, 13, 17. This would be 90 days. It would still have the employer information in here. It would be completed and program completed, and then you would save this, and then you would upload it here. Where's my download folder? And customer employed for 90 days, program completed. I love it when you guys use this description section. I love it, love it, love it when you do that. I upload that. It moves the customer to completed on the dashboard, and then in their Istep, you need to have under career planning, you need to have in here the step, and I don't see it in here, where it says job retention services right here, so I would add that. And then it would be marked as completed. And we'll do 613 on that one. And customer employed for 90 days. All right, save that. Okay. What about customers who DHS did not set appointment for and we see and complete 2151 and 2151A? I'm not, I think that was a question to Olivia. And if you've got no sound,
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
If you've got no sound, dial in to the number I just put in the chat pod.
So for Ron, for customers who DHS did not set an appointment with, and you have seen them and completed a 2151 and a 2151A, you should be adding in appointment dates for those customers. So like if you have a customer just randomly show up, say they showed up today at 9:13, you have the ability to go into the system and add a 9:13 appointment date, and you can set it for whatever time you're currently adding it for. You won't be able to back set it for the time they actually showed up, but then you can add that right there on the spot, so then we know the date they showed up, and then it correlates with that 2151 and 2151A being uploaded. DHS should be using the appointments that you have in that calendar, so that's why you want to make sure you always keep those completed in full 2 months out, so they have plenty of dates to choose from. But if for the customers that this has already happened to, if you already have a couple customers who don't have appointment dates in there, just send me their other participant ID numbers, and I can look and see when you uploaded that 2151 and when they came in, and we can get an appointment date manually added in on the back end of the system.
And I'm doing right now how to add an appointment.
And Ron, I may have caught a couple of those people. I was actually going through and looking at a handful of customers who did have documentation showing they showed up but didn't have an appointment date. So I am having the Cody fix those customers and put back that appointment date in there. They had just accidentally been removed. So I may have already caught them, but go ahead and send them to me, the other participant ID numbers, just to be safe.
And we need to continue adding appointments now. If you do not have them in through the end of October, please add those appointments in through the end of October. All right, what else is on our agenda, Olivia? Adding additional training programs. Tammy, do you want to talk about that? We covered it last webinar.
Oh, I'm on mute too. Okay, what was that again, Dee?
Adding additional training programs.
Okay, thank you. Yes, okay. Well, we're going to talk about this in conjunction with Alive After 5,000. We are like, I think, around 150 or somewhere around there, 160 away from meeting our 5,000 mark. And so DHS is, like I said, done 2,500 to the control group, 2,500 to the treatment group. So they're almost there. And we anticipate probably not the end of September, but maybe the first or second week in October they'll be done for that. And a decision has been made that we're going to shut off random assignment. And what we're going to end up doing is just attempting to re-engage all of those customers that have like fallen out, that have been assigned to the treatment group, that have like either been no-shows or fallen out, or in some cases they're no longer SNAP eligible, but then they come back in and reapply, and then they can get on the program again. So our focus is that group that was assigned to EPIC, that 2,500. So part of what the discussion has been related to this is if there's additional programs that could potentially be offered by some of the CBOs that may entice some of these people that didn't come through the first time to participate. So I think there were some conversations, and we had a survey not too terribly long ago that asked if you would be interested in including some more programs. We're going to be looking at that survey, and we're going to be potentially talking and reaching out to you guys as far as if there's any holes in service delivery for specific types of programs, if there's something that we need to add. So some of the other things with this Life After 5,000, I know that quite a few agencies have not gotten the number of referrals that they would really like to have, and and what's in their contracts with us. And so part of our goal too is when these people come in to really try and align these customers to the CBOs that have not had as many referrals also. So we have some CBOs that have gotten quite a few referrals, and we're going to be looking at how to distribute these customers based upon their desires and their right fits back out to the CBOs. So this is work in progress. I can't really tell you more than that at this time. But I know that some of you guys have probably heard that on the street, when you're out there doing the Staffing'S from the DHS frontline staff. So we wanted to make you aware that this is work in progress and that we will be coming out with more details of how EPIC's going to proceed here probably within the next week or two.
All right, and then Kelsey asked the question, I don't know if I interpreted that improperly, but what we will be able to do moving forward is make sure that we're getting the customers who we are currently serving or will be getting on the rebound, what is it when a boomerang goes out? What's that on the return? Anyway, on the swing back, then we can spend more money. And the whole purpose, like Tammy just said, maybe those people didn't see a program that interested them. So if we can come up with some programs that would be useful for those particular customers who maybe were no-shows the first time, that will bring us back in more people. What percentage are we at for show rate right now, Tammy? You and I talked about that the other day.
There's I think about a 28 to 29% no-show to come to the CBOs to the initial appointment. And then once they get to the CBOs, then we obviously have drop-off from there too. So, and Kelsey, you're right, we cannot serve anybody that's not SNAP eligible, but we're getting to the point now where if they became SNAP ineligible, that they're coming back in and getting back on SNAP benefits. So that whole re-engagement is going to be working with those customers and getting them back into the EPIC program and hopefully getting them engaged so that they have a more success the second time around.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've already covered on the webinar? Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to type a number into the chat pod, and that number is if you want to come back or stay in the webinar, but we're going to hang up from this phone and dial into the next one and talk about the staffing packet tool. So if any of you on this call want to stay and join the call with Autumn and I about staffing packets, you're welcome to.
I strongly encourage, if you're not using the staffing packet right now, that you participate in this so you can start utilizing that this month in Region 1.
All right, and a question regarding CBO TA files. Have additional directions updates been made to any of those files recently?
Are you talking about the instruction guides, Kelsey? Yeah, so the ones in the file pod haven't been updated recently. We are working on updating the Istep and 2151A instructions, but we haven't got those updated yet. But I would say probably by next week we'll have them. Do you think by next week, Dee, or maybe a little longer?
I'm hoping by tomorrow I can get them done and we can get them out with the notes from today's webinar.
Yeah, I'll send a link to those in the notes when I send them out. So, all right.
Okay. All right. So, if that's it for the good of the whole, I'm posting the call number in again. I'm going to hang up from this. Give me a minute. I have to go take care of a little bit of business, and then I'll start the call up in about 4 minutes. All right. So if you want to find out about the staffing packet tool, stay in the webinar, and I'll be back in 4 minutes on that other number. All right. Have a great rest of your day.